Last week we talked about meditation. How to center, how to get a space, how to begin the process of connecting with at a higher level with God. How have you all been with your meditation process? Has anybody been setting aside the time, trying to relax, going to God without an agenda, just letting the energy flow through you? Okay, great. I sleep on this book. I've shared that with y'all. I was divine dipping in it, and this is what I came to that I wanted to share with you about how to tune in to that still small voice. Before you can make contact with higher worlds, you have to develop a sense which can respond to their vibrations. Let us say that you have to adjust your own radio set to the required wavelength. Your personality is the radio set, and it can be attuned to different levels of life or consciousness. It must, in fact, be tuned to the basic law which governs your receiver, the basic law of love. So, to begin to open to that direct communication with Spirit, we need to really understand that the space has to first be created, and then our tuner has to go to a vibration of that level of receptivity. I remember Paul Solomon once said, when he came to speak at our church, that thoughts are like sheep. They just get a going following each other. So if you think about anything, then pretty soon those thoughts have just connected all around in a circle, and you're thinking about the Himalayas, you have no idea how you got there when you started thinking about a pencil eraser. But you can logically track it because that's what our thoughts do. So to begin to think and want to hear that still small voice, to begin to tune into it, we have to literally make our thoughts higher. Think of God. And I know a lot of us, when you first begin, you might think of God, then think about what you read, and then pretty soon you're back in your childhood Christianity. And then you're arguing with people. So we have to think at the higher level and relax. Remember, connecting with God is relaxation. Think and relax. All right, so we create the space, and now we fine-tune the instrument. Every one of us has a truth meter within, right? We talk about it all the time. You have a truth meter. Something resonates with you, and it says, that's true. I don't know why it's true. I can't logically explain it, but I feel it. There's truth there, and we begin to explore it. So when we have that needle pointed in the direction of love, that helps that truth meter guide us. And if you move always toward love, you're always going to be in a safe space where you can learn. Simple? Okay. Do you understand that still small voice within your heart? All right. Okay. In the Aquarian, it says repeatedly, when love and righteousness live side by side in your heart, God is there. When love and righteousness isn't being holier than thou, it's not following laws of man. It's a rightness, it feels right. When love and rightness live side by side in your heart, you will find the Spirit of God there. It says, live hand in hand with God. See and understand God, and you will become a delegate of His will on earth. You'll be able to understand the energies, how to direct them, and how to use them. Hearken to God, always it says. Do the will of God. Do the will of God. How can you do the will of God if you don't hear the still small voice? Seriously. How can you do the will of God when you don't hear it in your heart? You know, in past, in other days and times, Christendom created rules. And if you do those rules, now you're in the will of God. But that's the rules of the church. That's not the will of God. Do you understand? Everyone has a unique purpose, a unique desire, a unique creative life force within them. And you cannot access that unless you go within. And no one can tell you what that is. We can say we're all children of God, but we have unique purposes and designs and efforts and learning and creations. So it is up to us to take that step inside, to find out what is true for me. The will of God for you is not the will of God for me. The will of God for me is not the will of God for you. And they may even be similar. Patrick and I live side by side, have worked side by side for 25 years. The will of God for him is different than the will of God for me. Yet we share a path. Do you understand? And let me tell you, when I try to tell him what the will of God is for him, I am met with resistance. And vice versa. So it's all about taking that moment to go within. All right. There is no rule that will get you there. There is searching. Seek and ye shall find. Turn your heart and look. So I'm going to start at the very basic beginning of how I learned to follow that energy of the divine. When you meditate, which we talked about last week, and you're going into that space of connecting with God without agenda to feel, and you may just go into the deep relaxation and nothing else. But when you're meditating, you can always feel right as you're coming out. Can you not? You can feel I'm getting ready to come out of meditation. I can feel myself ready. Right then, stop. This is where you start your process. Ask for a gift. Say, okay, universe, give me a gift now. Right before you open your eyes, ask for a gift. And just sit. Sit for a minute. You know what we're doing is we're training our mind to perceive. And then when you get the gift, it may be an apple, it may be an orange, it may be a giraffe, it may be a symbol, it may be a word, it may be a sound, whatever it is. Ask, what does that mean? So what does that mean? Could mean eat the apple for lunch. Could mean something symbolic to you individually. But it's one small little thing. You could get a feeling, a picture, an image, a small little thing, and then if you don't understand it, say, what does that mean? Boom. Now you have just sought communication in a very small way. Do you understand? What does that mean to me? Now, and the reality is, the minute you saw, felt, or sensed anything, your spirit knew exactly what it meant. You didn't need to be told. But your mind did not. And this is where we start engaging the two. It's a simple, simple, simple little practice, but it starts you recognizing that still small voice. Because that beautiful energy you get at meditation, that whoa, whoosh, relaxation, I'm one with God, I'm feeling euphoric. When you're walking in the world and saying, okay, God, should I do this or that? Guide me, I'm uncertain. Are you going to get the big whoosh? Do you have time to sit and get in that space? Sometimes you just need that still small voice guiding you. Sometimes you need to be able to just go within and say, okay, I know what it feels like. Talk to me. Is this helpful? This is a discipline that will help you feel the vibration of your God, your spirit, your higher self talking to you. Some of you will find that the communication is all symbolic. Some of you will find it's words. Some of you will find it's just feelings. It doesn't matter. It's you getting a greater guidance from within. Say, sounds great. Another thing you can do when you meditate, if you really want to start getting that communication, that still small voice, is journal. After you meditate and you're in the energy of God, you meditate for your 15 minutes or your half an hour if you're just getting cranked up doing it. Open your eyes, ask for your gift, open your eyes, get your pen out, and you have a journal. And if you start journaling everything that you think when you come out of meditation, 90% of that's coming from your mind. Blah, 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 blah. And then you'll hit a pearl. Oh my God, that wasn't my thought. Whoa, that did not come through my brain. That's awesome. Holy mackerel. Truth meter goes off, you feel spirit. Pearl, okay. And then you keep journaling, journaling, another pearl. Journal as long as you want. I literally had years of journals that I destroyed about 20 years ago because I didn't want anybody to find my journals and think that was the path to God. It was not. There was a lot of mental stuff in there. I also realized when I journal, when I hit a pearl, I can't find it again. So go back and highlight your pearls or put them in a different journal when you hit it because you want to keep those. Those are beautiful energies from God to guide you. You want to keep those. So, what are we doing? We're training our mind to recognize. Because when you get guidance, you fight it if you don't recognize it. Do you understand? You fight it. All right. We create a safe space, and in this space, when you get your pearls or you get your gift and you get what is this, it will always feel like it's filled with love and rightness. Love and rightness. And then you don't have to adjust anything. It's just love and rightness. Love and rightness. And because you're receptive, you are already willing to incorporate it and change, to make it a part of you, because you're in that receptive state. Okay, so that's from the perspective of meditation and moving to the still small voice. In our minds, we are programmed to examine information and try to see how I fit into the world with this. If I do this, how will I fit into the world? Do you understand? With our spirit, when we are looking for guidance and looking for that voice, spirit is based on who I am in the world, not how I fit in the world. Do you understand? Who am I in the world? And do I give myself the freedom to be that? That's spirit reality. How many have spent your life trying to fit into the world? How many in this room know that you won't? That's the majority. That's the majority. We're not supposed to fit in. We're supposed to be who we are in it. And if we are who we are in it, we can give our gifts. We can be that delight to the world. We don't have to agree theologically. We don't have to agree on anything. We can, as long as we're living in love, we're going to be in harmony. That's all we seek to be, is harmonize. Okay? We get very, very little insights into Jesus Christ's prayers. They don't give us much. But we do get to see at the desert, his desert wilderness experience. Everybody knows the desert experience. This is when Jesus had prepared, he had gone through the walks at Heliopolis, he had prepared to now take his message and mission to the land of Israel, to his own people. He had already been baptized by John, and then he went into the wilderness. And we know metaphysically the wilderness means chaos. You go into chaos, you lose your sense of who you are in the world. There's this sense of, I don't really know who I am anymore. I've got to realign myself. And we know that in the desert experience, what they give us in any of the texts is the 3 levels of questions that he went through. He went into the experience and he said, how am I going to present who I am into the world? How am I going to do that? So it says he wrestled with his thoughts. And the first level of thought said, you're really good. You can really manifest really, really good. Why don't you turn those rocks into bread? You just do that for everybody and they can eat and they'll know what you're saying is true. And he said, to himself, self, magicians do this. This doesn't mean anything. Me demonstrating in matter isn't going to change one person's heart. Again, how do I fit in the world? Well, you could just show them how fabulous you are. And you just feed them all. Second layer of thoughts were, you know, you're really pretty cool. You can go climb up to the top of that temple and you can throw yourself down and those angels are going to catch you because you know they will. Because you know God is master over matter and you're a master over matter and you've demonstrated so much at this point you could do this. And he said to his thoughts, I don't think so. What would that show? What would that show anybody? I'm better than you? I'm a child of God, you're not? What good would that do? And then the third level, you could be really rich and famous. How many of us wouldn't sell the little red wagon to be rich and famous? And every person that says, I want to be rich and famous, you know what they tell me? Why? So I can help everybody, all those poor people out there. So I can make myself better than you and come back and help you and become your source, your God. And now I'm not elevated, now I'm validated because I am greater than. This is still a prominent issue of today. Instead of, I trust that my brothers and sisters are exactly where they need to be for what they need to do, and they're learning, and if they need me, I've got my hand out, I will help them. But I do not need to become their source. And Jesus said in his brain, he said, thoughts, that is just silly. If I go for an earthly kingdom, nobody will see the God within me. And that is what I came to show them. And he said, I shall let every word and every deed and every thought that I speak my mission and my truth. I will be now who I am in the world. And this says he wrestled with his thoughts for 40 days. He wrestled with his thoughts for 40 days. This is an insight into ego. It's an insight into, what is ego but outer reference? It's an insight into how we put ourselves into the world. We all go through it. He went through it. But we have to look for that space of rightness and love. And who am I? Do you understand? The still small voice, sometimes our ego wants to make different. But we have to let the mind be still. And sometimes you do have to speak with yourself a minute. Does anybody understand what I speak of? I have a hand. When I was teaching, this has been a while, in seminary, I have seminary students, and we go through the Bible and stuff. And I had a couple of them come to me, it's separately, different inspirations. And they said, you know, Cindy, I was guided not to do my homework. I said, well, you know what? When I'm guided for you not to do your homework, you're going to be okay. But God tells everybody the same thing, and God did not come and tell me that you are exempt from your homework. So you need to go back and do it if you want to hang with me. And if you don't want to hang with me, that's fine. What they got in their own way, they got an energy, and their ego interpreted it this way. I know they didn't do it maliciously. They weren't going, I'm in a fox, Cindy. They were saying, I think I hear it that way. And so they turned it to where they needed it. The reality is, I guarantee you, if they got the message, thou shalt not do thy homework, all they had to say is, well, when shall I do it, or why shall I not do it? Don't do it today, do it tomorrow. I've got a window for you. You're pressuring yourself today. There would have been more to the message, you know, so that it would have come in the appropriate time. But because ego wanted to hear you off the hook, we interpret. So the still small voice should feel right. Do you think that felt right in their hearts? God tells everybody the same thing if it's about an issue that should be accomplished. God will not tell, and Patrick and I do this all the time. We ask whether we should turn right or left or do something. God will not tell me one thing and him something else. It's always the same answer. If we're listening, because we're functioning as a team. Should we do this or do that? No, we need guidance on that. It's always the same answer. So your voice will always put you where you need to be in the right situation, in rightness. Everyone's voice will put them in that right situation. And if you're working as a team on the same thing, there will be rightness there. There always is rightness there. Always. On our council at church, we used to have 7 people on the council many, many years ago. It's like, no, we have to harmonize. Everyone has to come to some level of agreement. They might have different pieces of the pie, but there has to be some level of agreement, or we can't go forward with it. There's no voting and pushing people down. 2 against 1, we win. That doesn't occur. There has to be rightness at some level for us to go forward. Everybody hearing all this? Okay. That's your still small voice. We don't want you to shift it. So we have the space, we have the tuning in, and we have the quieting of our wills. Quieting of our wills. You will always reach the still small voice by surrender. Some of us reach it when we've absolutely destroyed everything we know in the outer world. And that is all we have left. And we'll go within and say, tell me what to do. And some of us reach it when we just want to change the outer world. And then we will willingly go within, willingly surrender to hear and listen to that voice. to see what our next step might be. I always guide people, start with a simple yes and no. When you're out in the world, and you don't know exactly what you need to do in this particular situation, take a moment. You've already done your meditation. You've already done your guidance. You're already listening. You're cooking in the world, doing something, and you hit a point where you're not really sure. Take a moment, shut your eyes, focus on your heart, and ask a yes or no question. Not a give me a long answer, a novel question. Yes or no. Would it be for my highest and best to do this? What is for my highest and best? Is it this? Is it this? And you will get yes, feels expanded in your heart and relaxed. No feels constriction, and it's almost immediately. No. And if you get a no, that doesn't mean, oh, I can't have that any other time in the world. I'm stuck forever. No. No just means in this moment in time. And then you ask another question, well, is this for my highest and best? And then you'll get the yes. Follow the love for that moment. It's not a forever, it's for this moment in time. Follow the love and it keeps you on the track of love. Following the impulse in your heart allows you to begin to listen more keenly to the vibration of how your spirit speaks to you. And then again it becomes language and visions and energy, so you can know what's true for you. Do you understand? Okay. When you ask for that information, then you have to act on it. And I'll give you a very simple way to do it. When you're sitting at a restaurant, just, well, okay, should I have this item, Spirit? Or should I have this item? You don't have to make it a big old life-changing decision. You could just make it, what am I having for lunch? To try to get your heart exercising. To get yourself familiar with what this feels good for me and this does not feel good for me in this moment in time. I feel like I'm asking too much of you. Everyone else I am. Because this requires you to be aware of your divine guidance at crazy moments. At crazy moments. Because you're being guided all the time, and I know each and every one of you have been in situations where you feel this energy pressing upon you. You go, gosh, I don't feel comfortable here anymore. Maybe I should leave. And then your buds and your peeps say, no, we're just getting going. Don't leave, don't stay. Okay. But when you feel that pressing upon, what if you could go within your heart and say to yourself, okay, Spirit, is it for my highest and best good that I should leave? And if you get the yes, do you stay? No. But what if you didn't even know you had that tool? How much activity would you stay in that was not for your highest and best because you didn't even know how to check in on a heartbeat? You're partying too, you're having a good time, but you feel pressed upon that it's time for you to go. We do not respond so much to our press upon, do we? We stay beyond our welcome so long, so often. But if you start living just by what is right for me, where I need to go, where I need to be, then your leaving is a blessing for them. We used to go to parties, Patrick and I, back in the day, and I just feel like, I think it's time for us to go. We haven't been here very long, but I think it's time for us to go. Little did I know, I had no idea that they were trying to respect us and not breaking out the alcohol till we left. Because we don't drink. And it was, yes, everybody was going, oh, sorry, you had to go. You know, it was win-win. It was absolutely win-win. So, and don't you know, my heart would have said, oh yeah, you need to go. Of course you need to go. But I didn't know why I needed to go. I just needed to go. Okay. All right. Including God with the daily fun little choices you have is a training ground for you to recognize that spirit in your heart. And it also teaches you to surrender quickly. It teaches you to surrender quickly. Do you know how long it takes most of us to surrender? Sometimes years, sometimes months, sometimes days, sometimes wrestling and crying and gnashing of teeth. All right. When you really get into the still small voice, you will be taught of God. There's a great intelligence. We call it God. I don't care what you call it. There's this great intelligence that created us, that created this vast universe, this fabulousness that we live in. And we can be taught of that energy. I will be taught what I need. Sarah might be taught beautiful music. You know, we're given what we can use to help our essence express. But we will be taught when we can listen and hear. And there will always be what in the teachings? Love and rightness. Always love and rightness in the teachings. And our attitude towards self teaches us whether we are teachable or not. If you are unworthy, you are not teachable. Do you know why? I won't ask how many of you feel unworthy. But if you are unworthy, whose will are you in? You're in your will. You haven't surrendered. You're unworthy. Okay, enjoy that. But you're not going to open to Spirit. If you're just open, I'm fabulous and open, I'm fabulous, I'm happy, I'm trying, I'm doing the best I can, I am open to change. Am I teachable? I'm teachable. We have to love ourselves and open to something greater than we have known in the past. We can't be beating ourselves up, but to love ourselves. We love ourselves, we seek communication, we seek access to that divine consciousness that we are all a part of, that will help us be greater who we are as we walk in the world. And it all starts with a still, small voice. And the last thing I want to share with you is that voice is never critical. Ever. You're the divine child. It's never critical. And if you don't follow it, you know what you hear? Silence. Silence. Okay. Eat the apple, eat the apple. You really should eat that apple, eat the apple. The apple's good. I ain't eating an apple. There's no criticism. You almost feel this energy of, well, maybe next time. You almost feel like a mother would, maybe next time. So, your heart is the connecting base for the divine. By any name, by any faith, it doesn't matter. Your heart. And your heart has the will with you. It's not my will. That will, that God will is in you, for you. So simple, right? You ready to try? All right, let's put our feet on the floor. Just breathe. Feel love pouring through you now. God, I ask that each one now is engulfed in a beautiful column of safe light and safe love. And would invite you all to breathe in that love of God. And I would invite you to let your focus now go to your heart. Just feel your heart, your energy. Just feel your heart. And I want you just to ask a question, and I will give you one. Am I a part of God's love? Does God love me? And just feel your heart. Am I divine? Now ask whatever question you want to ask. If you ask a question that gets a yes answer, ask one that you think probably will get a no answer. I want you to feel the difference in your heart. Now let the heart relax. Just let the heart be at peace. Father, Mother God, we ask that each one be lifted up into a higher state of being. I ask that as they go forth this day, they feel that beautiful love of your Spirit feeding them. And God, to whatever level each one seeks guidance, I ask that that beautiful angelic support, their guides and teachers, step forward to support them in expanding that beautiful light within their own hearts. Feel the love. And just send love to God now. We love you, God. We love you, Jesus Christ, for showing us a beautiful way to live. And we love our world, everyone in our world, everyone in this room. And we thank you. Take a breath. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Did you all feel a slight difference in the chest area? Just a little bit of a difference. When you start working with Spirit and start getting familiar to your cues, the downloads happen. And that's when the beautiful whoosh of divine light is amazing. You ready?
Yes.
Ready to try it? Good. All right, say yay God.
Yay God.